Yay, here we go. Wake the fuck up Wednesdays. I hope you come on in because I didn't send an invite this morning. And so if you're showing up, go ahead, send me some little love, let me know you're here. But yeah, I just had a lot going on. So I was like, my peeps know that it's going to happen. And if not, that's good. They can watch it later. So, good morning. It's morning here in Alaska. Um, why do I call it Wake the Fuck Up Wednesdays? I think, and I just wanted to be clear with y'all that it's not because I'm like, good morning. It's not like, let's wake up, good morning. This is our like morning coffee, although that can be part of it. But I just wanted to be really clear that it is about waking up our minds. Okay. So it's not just, hey, let's get over the hump day, right? It is, we need to check in and make sure that we regularly realize how important it is to do the work, right? Because being a human is not so easy here, right? Being a human is kind of intense. And we have lots of hard things going on, right now, sure, but we've always had difficult things going on as a human, right? And so I think we really need to check in. It's almost like, when people have those timers, those like mindfulness timers to remind them to be present or just to check in with what they're doing. Sort of like that, but in a bigger way. Like, I really want you to wake up to the fact that this life is precious, that we don't have that much time here, no matter how long we live. We could live till 120 and we're going to be like, damn, there is still so much more I'd want to do. At least that's how I am, right? And so when I think about it that way, I think, okay, like, I want to regularly become aware of how precious this life is so that I don't waste it. So that's why we're here for Wake the Fuck Up Wednesday. And someone's sending me a text message, like I can't see it in Facebook, but you guys, you know what? Facebook is doing so many weird things these days. I don't know. I don't know what it's doing. Okay, so it is saying I'm here now. Okay, thank you for letting me know. Who knows if that was just blabbering to no one for a couple minutes, but all right. So today I wanted to talk about buffering. And by buffering, I mean all of the things that we do in order to escape our difficult feelings and escape our reality, right? And this can become pretty sneaky. So sometimes, we can look at it like, well, no, it's pretty healthy just to hang out and like watch TV. Like that's just the end of the day. Or there's nothing wrong with having some wine. Like studies show wine is healthy. Or, there's nothing wrong with, needing to exercise every day. Like I'm addicted to exercise or whatever. But here's the thing about buffering is that we are not being present with what is. So it's so funny to me because whenever I tell people about my Drink Less, Feel Free class, I get all kinds of shit from like these basically like fundamentalist Buddhists that are like, you can't talk about this if you're Buddhist. Like, there's nothing Buddhist about drinking less. In Buddhism, you're not supposed to drink at all. And I'm like, okay, so like in Christianity, you're not supposed to like cheat on your partner, but people do. So are you telling me that you can't teach a class on like how to like be more loyal? Like, or like, are they not Christian just because they don't follow all the rules? And the way I like to say it is like, hey y'all, like it's not a religion thing. It's just like we're all doing our best, right? It's like we can't be judgmental about other people. We are all doing our best. There is no one who follows all of the rules, right? In any spirituality. That's called like them being enlightened, right? So when we talk about buffering, for me, I'm like, okay, the way my teachers taught it wasn't, you know, don't consume intoxicants at all. It was don't become intoxicated to the point that you're not mindful and present, right? Because what is the whole point of that statement? It's not that like oh, if you take a sip of alcohol, you're fucked, right? It's what happens to your mind. And it's so funny because this is how I start to have more of an understanding of like um, all these rules that I grew up with, right? In terms of like 10 commandments and all this shit. And I'd always be like, this doesn't make sense to me. And my mom would be like, shut up, don't ask any questions. And then later, when I started studying other traditions, I was like, oh, these are there because your mind is more calm when you can not do those things. Like my mind is more calm at the end of the day if I didn't spend it like stealing from people. My mind is more calm at the end of the day if I was present for most of it, right? For all of it. And so, when it comes to buffering, there's no moral judgment there. All right. I just want that to be clear. There's no moral judgment like, oh, you're evil for doing that. What I want to talk about is what is helping you be present in your life because that's what we want more of, right? We need more. What are you being present with and not so much checking out because our society is built around helping you check out, right? So, buffering is basically anything that we do to get out of being present, to escape, not to relax, not to calm our nervous system, but to literally escape. Like that's the intention behind it, right? So, for example, um, I'll use kind of adrenaline sports because I feel like it's kind of easy to be like, yeah, yeah, you're not supposed to overdrink or overeat. You don't eat your feelings, don't drink away your feelings. But a lot of people don't have that same realization around any other healthier forms of escape, like adrenaline activities. So my husband is an adrenaline junkie. He's admitted this himself, right? And he uses his adrenaline sports to kind of self-medicate, which is awesome. Like in many ways, like I would rather have him doing that than other things for sure. But the point is, it's still escaping, right? So if you're going to buffer, of course it's ideal if you're doing something that improves your cardiovascular system and gets you outside, right? But from a wake the fuck up perspective, are you being present with your life as it is? What is causing you to leave, to check out, right? So when you are buffering with no matter what it is for you, whether it's Netflix, whether it's wine, whether it's weed, whether it's sugar, flour, bread, whatever, whether it's paragliding, kayaking, mountain runs, right? We are checking out. All right. So can we just like acknowledge that? So if you want, you could go ahead and type in the comments. If you're watching this later, you could put hashtag team replay and let me know what do you like to use to buffer, right? So for me, you know, I pretty much, it must have been, I don't have a very, I'm trying to think of for me in my 20s, I think it was mostly adrenaline sports but I also didn't have a lot to buffer from then. Like life was pretty fucking easy in my 20s. I was a climbing guide, and of course, I had some difficult times, but I didn't feel the need to buffer then, probably because I was a climbing guide and I got it out physically every day. But into my 30s, I started noticing that it would be with wine, right? And so then I started buffering with like a substance that checked me out. And that was a new thing for me. And I did, even then, I didn't really do it a lot, right? So I would just sort of be like, that was stressful, and then come home and then have a glass of wine. And then I dated an alcoholic that I didn't know was an alcoholic at the time. But as we were dating, I was like, damn, homeboy drinks like every day, which I didn't at the time. And then so I started drinking every day with him. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is becoming a pattern. Anyway, we broke up for various reasons related to his behavior. And so then it was like a non-issue again. And then had the kiddo, right? And with the kiddo, I couldn't do my normal healthy self-care things that help me not require buffering. I couldn't go to yoga all the time when I wanted. I couldn't just get up and go for a run. And so I started drinking wine when I got stressed out because I could do it in the house. It was there. It helped me feel more relaxed and whatnot because I was so bored, y'all. Like, I am not like a toy player. I don't like hanging out playing with toys. Even as a kid, I just preferred to be outside. Like, maybe games. I liked games, but not like pretend like here, let's do like it's still not my thing. So anyway, I escaped that way, right? And then when I was like, okay, I need to change this, then I started over Netflixing. So then I like would just binge watch things just to check out. I'd be like, I'd have the same exact mindset. Oh, it's the end of the day. I am going to reward myself for that difficult day with binge watching a few episodes, right? Not just one episode, like a few episodes. So here's the thing I want you to think of when you're like, am I buffering or not? Okay, it's what is the consequence? Because one of the consequences of buffering that we don't think of a lot is the fact that it keeps us from addressing the thing that we're buffering from. So it's like if I come home at the end of the day and I'm just so fucking tired that I have the need to unplug and escape, that's telling me something, right? That is telling me something about my life and what needs to change. I shouldn't be coming home feeling that way, right? But if I buffer, I never have to feel that. So, with the buffering, ask yourself, why am I doing this? What is it that needs to change that I'm feeling this? Instead of just making the feeling go away, what is the feeling telling you? Because here's the deal, feelings are emotions, right? And emotions inform us. Like I use the terms interchangeably, but they are information about what our thoughts are or about our experience in the world, right? So, yes, we talk about the model circumstances, thoughts create feelings, feelings create actions. And it's sort of like, oh, well, feelings don't really matter. They're created by our thoughts. No, they absolutely matter, right? They absolutely matter because they show us our mind. Maybe our mind is like, this is fucked up. I am so tired. I need this, right? I deserve this. That is showing us our minds. And they are also showing us how something is out of alignment or in alignment. When we are feeling joy, that's because our life is in alignment. When we are feeling hard feelings, it's showing us something's out of alignment. And a lot of people say, but I need to buffer because I can't change the situation. Like I'm sort of stuck here and I can't leave the shitty job, or I can't leave the shitty relationship, or I haven't lost the weight I wanted to lose, or whatever it is. And like, I can't change that. And so they want to, sort of say, okay, if I can't change this, then you're telling me that I can't buffer. And because some of you may have heard what I just said is change the situation, which is true. But there's a flip side of that, and I'm going to go into that in a minute. But I want to tell you this quote by Shanti Deva. So there's a book, The Bodhisattva's Guide to the Way of Life. I love it. Don't read it if you're codependent because it'll just make you more codependent. Work on your codependency first, then read it because it's about like, giving selflessly. But the but the quote is if you can change something, why be unhappy? If you cannot change something, why be unhappy? Because here's the thing, we often think that we cannot be happy until we change the fucked up situation, right? But you can. You can change the fucked up situation in your mind. Because when we have an experience, we have thoughts about it, and those thoughts create our feelings. So there's a step between the fucked up situation and how we feel about it. And that's how we are processing it and choosing to perceive it. And some people think that that would lead to complacency. Like, well, if I just work on my mind, then I'm never going to like leave a shitty relationship or leave, the shitty job. And what I'm saying is, no, 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 you can work on that and help yourself feel better in the meantime so that you don't need to buffer with the um, wine, with the weed, with the adrenaline, with the Netflix, with the shopping, with the porn, or whatever your like buffering of choices, right? So we can work on those thoughts about the circumstance if we can't change the circumstance. So instead of assuming like the circumstance is fucked, I can't do anything about it, let me just, check out, we can say, let me like check into my mind, check my mind. What is going on? What are these thoughts? Angelina says, my carbs and sweets buffer is back, right? So we definitely can feel that. And they can come and go too, like depending on where life is and how life is going and sort of what our resources are. Like, how can we resource ourselves, right? Buffering can become more prevalent. Just like in my example of after I had a kid, I couldn't resource as many things as I used to, right? And so that's when my buffering really came in heavily because I couldn't do those things that help me be more resilient as easily, right? So, with the buffering, I just want to encourage you to check in. Check in and say, okay, what am I trying to escape here? What am I trying to avoid? What is my mind telling me about my current situation? So, do that first before drinking the glass of wine, before eating the ice cream or whatever it is your thing is, right? Ask yourself, let me just be honest with myself. What is it that I'm checking out of here? Then remind yourself, um, I can change my thoughts about this and have a different experience right now, right? Because that is the hard work. And the way you can also shift this is to not judge the emotion, not create drama around the emotion, but to be fully present with the emotion. So, we allow, in mindful self compassion, we talk about soften, soothe, and allow. You soften around the emotion, you provide yourself some self soothing, right? Like, this is hard right now. That was a hard day. That fucking sucked, right? And then you allow the emotion. And that may sound really scary right now because of a lot of emotions are really fucked up and huge. But from a neuroscientific perspective, a pure emotion, like I think I mentioned this last week, lasts about 90 seconds. So if you come home exhausted and you're like, this feels shitty, I'm super stressed out. Like if we just sat with that without adding the second and third arrows of difficult thoughts about it and resisting the emotion, it would be gone in 90 seconds. What brings it back? Having another thought, having a memory about what happened earlier that day and how fucked up it was. But the emotion itself arises and it passes if we don't follow it, right? If we don't add to it all our thought drama. But I do want to acknowledge that we do need to give ourselves self compassion, just not in the form of escaping if we can avoid it. That's the intention behind, no intoxicants, right? Okay, here's a funny story. Um, I just want to get it right. Okay, so there's a monk, a hermit, whatever. I don't even know if he was technically a monk, but I think he was a monk. So he was up in the hills meditating on a long retreat. And there was a village woman that was bringing him food because that's what they would do. They would bring the monk food so that they didn't have to worry about sustenance, right? And over time, she just fell in love with him, like with his gentle qualities and with his vibe, right? So then finally, when he comes down the mountain from retreat, she's like, you, me, baby, let's do this. Like, let's make this relationship happen. And then he's like, no, like, I'm a monk. I have monk vows. I really appreciate it, but I can't, right? And she's like, no, like, you need to do this right now. Like, I've been waiting for you to come down from the mountain. And I'm like, girl, I got you. I know that feeling, right? So anyway, he's like, no, I'm sorry, I can't. And then so she's like, I mean, and this is, of course, a very ancient story, but she must have been like madly in love because she was like, do this or I will kill myself, or you can kill the goat, or you can drink this wine, right? And he's just like, okay, hold up. Like, I can either sleep with the woman, drink a little wine, or kill a goat. Like, which of my vows, because I don't want her to kill herself, which of my vows should I break? And he's like, I'll drink some wine. So he like throws back the wine and he has sex with her, kills the goat too, right? And they have like a barbecue. But the point is, see, so what happened was it wasn't that the wine was evil in and of itself, it's what happened after, right? So that's the spirit behind not buffering with intoxicants, not being present, right? And again, it can be not just related to toxins, it's sugar, it's Netflix, it's porn, it's online shopping, it's overspending. That little rush you get when you click buy. It's like, whew, I'm going to get that. And it comes. And then we overspend. And then we're in credit card debt, right? So life is hard. Life is a challenge. We need to have some self compassion for that. Soften, soothe, and allow. Soothing touch, this is fucking hard. And here's the thing, when you have self compassion for yourself, when you're not like, buck up, fucking just deal with this, right? When you have actual true self compassion, you can have more resilience and deal with difficult emotions more effectively. It sounds kind of weird, right? Like I am checking out and I am um, drinking wine, like that's one option, but like, kind of giving myself self compassion, that seems like it would maybe make things worse, or maybe make things like someone is just totally um, wussing out, right? But what it does is it just allows us to feel self soothed so that we don't have to do it with a substance, right? And allows us to be with that emotion without adding the drama. And I just want to clarify, we're talking self compassion, not self pity. This isn't poor me, my life is so fucked up, yada, yada, right? We're talking self compassion, which is, yeah, life is hard. Being human is hard. Not just being you, all of us. Being a human's hard, right? How can I help myself? What do I need? And y'all's are like, a cookie. But no, okay. So here's the thing, when does it become buffering versus just enjoying something? And it really is the intention behind it, right? So the intention being like, am I just going to check out right now and avoid dealing with something? Or am I excited? Like, okay, let's look at Netflix. Are you like, I can't wait till after dinner because we're going to watch this and it's going to be so much fun? That's not buffering, right? But if you're like, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not going to work on my book, which I really want to do. And I'm not going to like do all this shit. And instead, I'm going to watch Netflix because I don't want to deal with that. That's buffering, right? So it's escaping. Now, sure, sometimes you're going to do it, but at least be mindful that that's what's happening, because mindfulness precedes change. This is why just meditating, right? Just meditating, not taking any fucking workshops or classes or anything like that, that's why that can work. Because as we become more mindful to our lives, to our minds, shit shifts, right? You're like, oh, here I am escaping again. What would happen if I actually dealt with this? Okay. All right. So Becky says, oh, I'm a buffering queen lately. Thank you for this. Awesome. Girl, you got to watch the beginning too. Because I know you just hopped on. I'm stoked for you to check that out. Yeah. So the buffering, the checking out, self compassion first. Okay. Awareness that it's happening. What are you avoiding? What's the thing that needs to change? And don't get all disheartened if it seems like you can't change it and that you're disempowered. Like COVID. COVID's fucking here, right? There's nothing we can do about it other than, the public health measures that we've been taught, but it's here for a while. So you can't change that. But instead of buffering, work on the thoughts about it and reshift those, right? Cultivate the thoughts that will help you more effectively, that will be of more benefit to you. So we've got the awareness, we've got the acknowledgement, and trying to um, have the self compassion, not the self pity. And then from that space, inquiry, right? Inquiry into, okay, so why am I trying to escape this? What is it? Because when you have self compassion about your suffering, then you're more willing to look at the why, right? If we don't have self compassion, if we're shaming ourselves for being overwhelmed, if we're thinking like, I should be able to deal with this, then of course we're not going to look at the shit that is causing it, right? So I want you to really think about, what are you buffering with in your life right now? What do you think needs to change? What is that a sign of that needs to change in your life? What can you do to help give yourself more of that so that you don't need to escape your life the way it is? And what are some ways that you can nourish yourself on a regular basis? That's one of the things that I find I fall victim to because I love my work. I just love it. I think it's fun, right? And I can just get super into it. But the bottom line is, I'm a human in a body and I need to stretch. I need to exercise. I need to eat super healthy food to feel vibrant, to have good energy. So, what do you need to nourish yourself with more on a regular basis? Because, sure, the buffering has consequences short term, right? Either for me with Netflix, I stay up too late and then I don't get enough sleep, right? I did that like 2 nights ago. I was like, fuck, I'm getting fucking 5 or 6 hours sleep again. This cannot happen for the kind of life that I want to create, right? But what was it, right? What was it that I was checking out from? And I was like checking out from just being exhausted, right? And it accumulated because it was like, oh, 5 hours sleep, 6 hours sleep, too exhausted to do something else other than sit in front of a TV, right? So when we are noticing our suffering, when we are noticing that we're going to go buffer, the the drawback is not so much the activity, but the after effects, which is we're not addressing the root cause. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Don't judge yourself for buffering. Don't be mean to yourself for buffering. That's just going to make shit worse. But remind yourself, even if a circumstance can't change, you can change your thoughts about it. What needs to change in your life so that you don't feel the need to buffer? And if you're like, what I need, I can't have, well, then we need to change our thoughts about that. So that can be like part 2 next week. But if you're like, I know how I was with the wine. Oh, okay. Well, you know what I need? I need to be able to go for a run whenever the fuck I want. I need to be able to go to the yoga classes the way I used to. If I could do that, then I wouldn't need the wine. That's exactly the way my brain worked, right? That didn't help me. What helped me was shifting my mindset like, okay, I need to prioritize those things because I could make those happen. And let's say, One thing that I couldn't change was, I was like, I need my husband to be around more, and he's an adult. I can't control him. He gets to choose how he spends his time. And if I'm choosing to stay with him, then I let him be him, right? I can't control him. And so one thing I really needed at that time was company. I was alone so much in the house. And I couldn't change that, right? I couldn't force that. You can't force other people to change, y'all. It was years before I got over that in terms of my thought process around that and thinking that that's what had to change. I could work on my mind with everything else. That was the one thought that I was like, this is not a thought, this is a fact, right? So trust me, I've been there. If you're feeling like, no, 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 this can't change. So I need this just to get through this. You can. I just want to let you know you can change your perspective and your mind about it. And what's kind of amazing is when you do that, life starts getting in alignment because we attract what our energy is focused on, right? Where attention goes, energy flows. So when we are able to shift our mindset about our current circumstance, we start creating a whole new reality. And I'm not saying that shit's as easy as like setting a positive intention. No, it's fucking work, man. That's why we have Freedom School, because it's not just like a freedom workshop, right? This shit takes practice, it takes time. Ask anybody in Freedom School. Like, they'll be rocking it and then something will happen and it's like, oh, why is this one so hard to get over, right? Because it's like fucking practice. That's why they say, do you have a meditation practice? Do you have a mindfulness practice? What is your freedom practice? What are you doing on a regular basis to up level your life? Okay. All right, my friends, thank you for coming. Loving you so much. And sorry that I didn't send an invite. For those of you that are going to be like, I didn't even know you were live. Girl, okay, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. Okay, so have a great rest of your week. I'll see you next Wednesday for Wake the Fuck Up Wednesday. And in the meantime, wake the fuck up. Okay? Stop buffering, or at least be aware that you're buffering. We can take baby steps here and go do something fucking awesome this week, right? Make your life fucking awesome. We are here for a short amount of time. Let's wake the fuck up and make the most of it because, hello, this planet is amazing. Our bodies are amazing. We can do this. All right, lots of love. Bye.